Welcome back to FudgeMuppet, I'm Scott, and today I have an awesomely fun discussion that I want you guys to contribute to down in the comments. Basically, the topic of today is what would have happened if the Aldmeri Dominion won the Great War and defeated the Empire. This is a total speculation piece. What would Tamriel look like? What would happen to the other races and factions? So we are all on the same page. We're going to pick a point in the Great War where everything is decided. The Battle of the Red Ring. The battle of imperial tactical genius where Titus Mede II successfully defeated Lord Narofin and retook the imperial city. Let's, for this video, pretend this didn't happen. Instead, Lord Narofin successfully repelled the attack and personally beheaded Titus Mede II. The head of the snake has been cut and the Empire has no leader. With the brunt of Imperial forces defeated at the Battle of the Red Ring, what would happen next? Well, for starters, I imagine the rest of Cyrodiil would quickly fall to the overwhelming Aldmeri armies. I also believe while Hammerfell was able to hold their ground against Lady Araniella and her invasion, in this alternate history where Lord Narofin is able to conquer Cyrodiil, it is unlikely the Red Guards would be able to withstand two armies attacking from the coast and attacking from Cyrodiil. While the Red Guards would fall to the Aldmeri Dominion, they still would put up a good fight and it would take them quite a few more years for their defeat. So let's say that it's 5 years since the Battle of the Red Ring, the year 180 of the Fourth Era. Cyrodiil has been mostly consolidated under Aldmeri rule, the like of which we have not seen since the Aelids of old, and after a long, bloody campaign against the Red Guards, Hammerfell is finally under Thalmor rule. So let's go over the state of Tamriel. Alinor, Valenwood, Elsewhere, Cyrodiil and Hammerfell are all under Thalmor rule, though taking over all of Tamriel is not necessarily easy from here on out. Hammerfell would for sure have resistance fighters being able to use hidden bases in the Alakir Desert using the environment to their advantage. Hammerfell also being recently taken would make it very heavily unstable. The Thalmor would have to spend some time here crushing any extra resistance, as well as potentially repel any attacks from the Bretons of High Rock or Nords of Skyrim. Here is why I think the Bretons wouldn't be too much of a problem. You see, without any imperial governance, High Rock is actually just 5 kingdoms. Now, for High Rock to be reasonably effective at any kind of attack, it would likely have to unite, and I don't really buy the idea that they would be able to. You may have one courageous king who wants to help the Red Guard resistance fight back, but then you could have the other kings who are trying to be more rational and accepting their fate of Aldmeri rule. If they don't fight the Thalmor, perhaps they can negotiate better terms of their surrender and place themselves better in a new Aldmeri regime. If anything, some of the diplomatic-minded of the kingdoms may approach the Thalmor and offer alliance. So High Rock would be a bit of a clusterfuck, but I also doubt the Thalmor would be able to take any rapid action against them. So as it is, High Rock would remain 5 independent kingdoms, but what about the Nords? Here we would have an entirely different history to the one we are presented with in Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, the game. Ulfric Stormcloak, a scarred veteran of the Great War, would successfully defeat the Forsworn at the Markarth incident, but instead of being betrayed by his Nord brothers and handed to the Empire, he would be venerated as a hero and gain much support. He would take his place as Jarl of Windhelm, and after the good deeds and need for a new High King, a true High King with the power of the Thumb, he could be crowned. He would be a charismatic leader and a role model for all Nords. And unlike the game Skyrim, he would have the fierce nationalistic support of most of the Nords and Jarls. There is a good chance Skyrim would unite. They are very patriotic by nature and have a historical hatred of elves. They also have been more politically stable than High Rock. Now here is where it gets interesting. Would the Nords mount some kind of war against the Thalmor, or would they simply defend their homes? Let's assume history panned out exactly as I said, and Ulfric is the High King of Skyrim with fierce support and loyalty. The year is 180 of the Fourth Era, and the Thalmor have just finished a tireless campaign against Hammerfell. However, over the border in Skyrim, Ulfric has been amassing an army of elf-hating Nords. Now, he could always say that they would just protect their homes, etc., and stuff like that, but I don't agree for 3 reasons. 1, that's kind of boring. 2, Nords have historically conquered and pillaged much of Tamriel, always expanding their reach, so it's not unlike them to go on raids and start wars. And 3, they are out for revenge against the Thalmor. This could also be the turning point for the Breton kingdoms, as with an emboldened ally of Skyrim, the Breton kingdoms may be more likely to be inspired and contribute to their cause. If anything, this would be the perfect time to strike. The Aldmeri Dominion armies have had heavy casualties waging a 10-year war, so what about the other nations? What's going on in Black Marsh and Morrowind? Well, quite frankly, they would be pretty safe from Aldmeri Dominion invasion, at least for a long time, for a few major reasons. Morrowind is still all fucked up from the Red Mountain and Argonian invasion, and they're trying to rebuild and reclaim, but it's highly unlikely they are any degree of significant military power that could pose any threat to the Thalmor. Therefore, they're not going to pay a lot of attention to them at the moment. And as for Black Marsh, it's just too damn hard. I mean, even Typer Septim didn't bother getting to the center of Black Marsh, and Argonians usually keep to themselves anyway. So both Morrowind and Black Marsh are rather unimportant in the grand scheme of things. Perhaps, and I mean perhaps, there is some chance of House Redoran, the main power in modern Morrowind, teaming up with Ulfric to fight a common enemy, but to be honest, I think there's fat chance of that happening. So back to Ulfric. What now? Ulfric stands with a strong Skyrim and some Breton allies, courageous and vengeful, ready to take the fight to a tired Thalmor army. However, the Thalmor have more land, more supplies, but likely also have to face resistance from the local populace in both Hammerfell and Cyrodiil. Perhaps Ulfric could take portions of Cyrodiil or Hammerfell and rally help from local populations who hate the Thalmor as much as them. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments below. And we can do a follow-up vid on the outcome after we see some ideas circulating. I love theoretical alternate histories and such, so I thought this would be a fun idea. Like if you agree with me, and I will see you in the next video.